I just got a text from Lucas Neal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it said?
What does it
Lucas
say?
Neal is a big Waypoint shopper in the Lake Minnetonka area.
What did he say?
What is you and Eric's review on the 863?
Well, he'll just have to stay tuned and find out, huh?
You're just gonna have to stay tuned and find out. You're just gonna have to stay tuned and find out.
Perfect. Right, Willie?
Yep.
He said, LOL, that's good timing. It is good timing, Lucas. It is good timing, Lucas. I'd like to start off by saying this is a very solemn and low energy mood right now in the building, in the tackle dungeon. So we can go ahead and get that out of the way.
Yeah, so last night was rough. In case you guys don't know, the Minnesota Vikings lost to the Detroit Lions and gave up the number 1 seed like it was cheap mints at the hostess stand at your favorite restaurant. Free! They gave it up for free!
They just said, here, you can have it.
Yeah.
Hope you like it.
You like it? Gosh. Alright.
But it's good news because we can beat the Rams.
That's true, we can beat the
And we
Rams.
can go back to Detroit and beat them because it's you can beat us twice as long as we beat you in the playoffs.
That's
matters,
true. That's
right?
when it really matters.
So,
And I mean, we'll see. I am so over national media covering us in such a negative light. We still beat all the odds and went 14-3.
we are still 14-3, and that's all that matters.
And in the playoffs.
Yes.
So, in literally the strongest division in the league. So,
Yes.
cool.
But now we can talk about fun things.
Like the impending summer fishing season, because ice fishing is here, and that means that
We are on the upswing. It is now 2025. Therefore, it's officially the 2025 fishing season.
yeah,
Yes.
yes,
And what do you need to go fishing? What's
Well-
the number one thing you probably need if you want to catch a fish?
rods,
You need a rod in your hand, yeah. You need some kind
plural
of a fishing
rods.
pole.
Well,
Rod.
okay, in Minnesota you can only have one in a, you know what I mean.
Yes.
You gotta have more on deck though.
Yep. Rod selection.
So, with that, we were gonna talk about our favorite rods, both from the 2024 season and
Beyond.
rods that just came in that were like, yeah, it's gonna be a good rod.
Yep.
You can just tell.
Yep.
So, what do we want to start with?
I think we should start with that nice blue, light blue spinning rod you have over there, because that's my favorite rod that has ever existed, literally.
The 841 NRX Plus inshore?
That is our number one selling rod, bar none. Number one.
Yes, absolutely.
Midwest finesse rod.
Good Midwest finesse Ned rig rod. I've got a little Kitech, and I believe that's a Dirty Jigs head on there. I forgot the name of it.
Now
That's an old Vanford.
841 NRX Plus inshore.
Inshore, but I mean, let's be honest. It's basically the only difference is they flipped the grip. There's no difference.
Flip the handle, and then they actually went ahead.
Oh, and they don't have recoil guides.
deleted the recoil guides. So if you don't like recoil guides, and that's why you're not buying NRXs, you're in luck, because you probably didn't know that this inshore series existed, and now you just have to ignore that inshore name because it means nothing.
It literally means nothing. Speaking of those non-recoil guides, you want to know why I like these so much?
Yes.
You'll see I have a minnow for a reason, because I've been going and wading in the river, and I usually take this because it's light and reliable, and it catches a lot of fish for me. But in the cold, the recoil guides don't tend to do so well.
Yep.
But these don't have recoil guides, so I can throw it when there's ice.
Yep.
In snow.
Well, on a 1 power and an NRX, typically not available. They're doing 2 power, 3 power, but this medium light 7 foot was something that previously we thought wasn't offered until we discovered the inshore series. And once we put this in anglers' hands, it became a #1 seller, and guys are coming back and grabbing 2 or 3 more of them.
Sometimes more.
Because you can drop shot, you can Ned rig,
Yep.
you can swim bait. A lot of guys are scoping with this thing.
Yep. Not
shaking
my
minnows.
choice, but in a pinch, it will absolutely work.
It balances perfectly with Vanford,
Yep.
twin power.
That's a 4000 Vanford,
Yep.
but Vanford twin power. If you wanted to put a what's the silver one that I can't think of the name of right now?
Stratic.
Yeah, Stratic. You could put a Stratic on there too.
I think
it would
just
do well.
the overall versatility of this rod for Midwest finesse. I think every angler, even across the nation, if you're throwing finesse stuff, you should have this rod.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those lightweight applications, there's nothing you can't do with it. It's a great wacky worm rod, actually, too. I
Dude,
love it for wacky worming.
Dude, I think I've thrown every technique except for a hair jig on it because it's still too short for a hair jig.
Yeah. Rated 1/8 to 3/16. You put looks. What kind of line is this?
That is actually P-line, sample line we got. And it's actually been really good.
P-line.
So we might have to
bring some
talk
in
to
then.
Rob about some P-line braid before
Yep.
this spring because we need more line options. But I normally throw Seagar Smackdown on my reels, and I've put other reels on this rod with Seagar Smackdown. It does great with that too. But I mean, it's not really an issue because you got traditional guides, so everything goes through smooth.
Yep.
But I mean, look, everyone knows that it's in NRX, it's going to be what it's going to be. But like, if you're looking for a model that can do all the lighter finesse stuff, and you just want to stick to one model, and you like a 7.71, right in that range, that's your winner right there.
We have sold out of this rod multiple times. We've had to special order it for guys multiple times. That is still something we are certainly able to do. Cannot recommend it enough. Definitely, you're gonna need to come in and come give it a bend, come play with it. Eric probably will have this rod available to come look at in the shop. And,
feel it with a reel on it.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, we both have them.
Willie's got one.
But Willie's got one. Willie scopes with his.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's popular. So come on in and check those out. We have some on the rack right now, I believe.
Yes, we got
at least 2.
Got quite a few inshore series rods to pick from in the spinning category.
Things flying around.
A lot of interesting rods in that lineup.
So that'll cover everything but hair jigging. But the good news is, as always, we have a hair jigging model.
The new one.
This is do you dare say upgrade on the already really good,
it's an
amazing,
upgrade. It's hard to believe. Hard to believe
hair
it is
rod.
an upgrade.
The blank's the same, correct? So,
same blank.
Same blank.
It's the same Veselka hair rod blank. Same exact blank. He did not change the blank.
Talked Dane into doing a little bit more of a blackout theme with upgraded handle part.
I love the EVA foam on his hair rod too.
These are these the same guides or is a different guide train?
So it's an upgraded guide train as well.
So
which makes the whole thing, you wouldn't think it, but it's way lighter.
He's still got, I forget what they call these, but these more open guides here that I know they use them for like trout and salmon and stuff like that. And this is also, is it a salmon blank? Trout blank?
It's basically salmon. Let the old.
I mean, to be honest, it's the perfect hair jig rod, and everyone who's ever tried one has agreed. So that's why we sell these just as much as we sell that.
The previous hair rod was already the perfect hair rod. This just took it and made it even more perfect because now you have lighter weight. You're going to have a little more sensitivity because you're going to have better guides on it. I love how this feels in the hand.
Yeah.
It's so comfortable that it's just, and you're going to get that same parabolic blank that the way you flick your wrist when you cast.
Still 8 feet. Still medium light,
Yep.
still a fast action.
But there's a reason, once you come pick one of these up in the store and feel it, there's a reason why we've already sold like a dozen of these. And another one
great on a 4,000 size reel.
Another one that we have to keep restocking, because all you have to do is pick this rod up and you can feel the difference between this and the original Dane hair jig rod.
Anyone who's ever tried to throw a hair jig with something else usually picks it up and goes, oh wow, yeah, okay, this is what I've been looking for. So
I think the original hair rod, you have to use it physically to understand, okay, now I get why it's because of the cast you get. This rod, this one, you can pick it up and you go, oh, okay, now I can feel that it's only 4 ounces. I can feel that it's got premium components, and then you combine that with actually going out and using it. And this, you cannot get more perfect than this. No. So these are
as always, Dave nailed it.
They're $4.99 compared to his original $2.99. A little bit more money, but
when you live where we live and guys sew hair jigs as much as they do, most of them won't flinch at putting something this nice in their hand and spend all day hair jig throwing. So
spy bait rod too. I was on a Mille Lacs throwing this thing with spy baits and the hooks that you get when you're throwing a little spy bait with this.
Little baby Kitech with it. Have you
done that? Yes.
Yeah, perfection.
Well, Willie, he has some secret little baby spy baits that we were throwing around with this thing, and
sneaky.
And if it's small and you want to throw it, you better have one of these, because you're going to be throwing it twice as far as any other rod in the market.
You know those little game craft glides? What are they?
The 70.
70 size. And we throw them on BFS stuff. You really want to get a long cast on those? This will do the trick, and it does have enough flex in it to handle that small treble on those baits. So there's another idea for us and everybody.
Again, guys are throwing Twin Powers and Vanfords with this rod, and it matches up perfectly.
4,000 size Miravells as well on the original. I would probably go to the Vanford myself. Yeah. That new Vanford is sweet. We'll talk about that on another episode when we talk about reels.
The Blackout hair rod, it's available. We've got a couple of them in stock now. You can go online and order it and select in-store pickup. We do have a model that's actually going to be a 711 that can be shipped as well. So if you get one shipped, it's just an inch shorter, but you get the same action out of it. In-store orders will be a 8-foot medium light. Can't recommend that one enough. After we told Dane, we said, if they're buying the hair jig rod like they are, why not make one that caters more to that premium angler that wants the best of the best? And he hit it on the head right away. He brought us one sample and we went, yep, that's the one.
Yeah, just do that over and over again.
Just keep doing that.
And he continues to do that.
Yep.
Finesse or power?
Power.
Okay, should we get the Legend Tournament out of the way?
Yeah, that's our number one selling flipping rod.
This is my favorite flipping rod
insane
that I've ever owned, that I continue to own. There's line in the way, but we'll do close-ups after, like we always do.
The old Legend Tournament.
7.6 medium, or excuse me, 7.6 heavy, moderate fast is what I was meaning to say. So it's got a very, very parabolic bend. Ross and I and Mr. Matt Plouffe went out flipping this summer, and Ross got to see me use this firsthand. We kind of gave you a little tutorial on how to flip some of that grass, but I think you kind of get why I like this rod.
Mm-hmm.
Great at not pulling a hook out of a fish's mouth. Also great at driving a hook into the fish's mouth. So you get that perfect blend of power, but also softness in the blank to fight a fish. It's a big shock absorber that goes to the backbone. Is the best way to put it. So
I was more of a 7.3 flipper, and then you put this one in my hand, and well, I don't know if you want me to say where exactly you were fishing this when you told me about it.
Maybe not the name of the lake, but
up in those pencil reeds, up in the
rice.
Yeah, you can
tell them that.
Up in the rices.
Yeah, we were throwing up in the thick stuff.
I heard it's particularly a great rod when you're in rice, right?
Yeah, when I go up north, like to Leech, I'll talk about that. That's fine. This is like, I'll have a big rod for throwing a frog.
Yep.
This would actually do a great job throwing a frog too, but
Yep.
I have a different rod I like for that. And then this. Like, I could go out on Leech if we're going largemouth fishing, these two rods all day. You want to know what else would be sneaky good for? And something I figured out, like, the first time I took this out. You know those big swim jigs I like?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about them on another podcast, but
Mm-hmm.
I love them. Like, I like making them big. This would work for that.
Mm-hmm.
It would also work for, like, a mag draft or something if you want to throw
Yep.
fluoro on it. Because of that parabolic action, it's going to give the shock absorption and load correctly. And that's why, like, I use it almost exclusively for flipping, but I'm like this close to buying a second one and using it for oodles of other different techniques.
I think 80% of the guys that bought this rod, and we sold dozens of them last year.
Yeah.
I think 80% of them were taking it up north and flipping maybe like a craw tube
Yep.
up in the thick
Oh
stuff.
gosh, yeah. Craw tube,
I
sweet beaver.
I threw mine out actually on Lake Minnetonka in one spot where it gets real thick and real hard to penetrate and hard to get fish out of that certain spot. And yeah, it's flawless.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of rods that I can think of off the top of my head that, like a 7.6 heavy moderate, I can't think of a whole lot of rods that are actually that. And yeah, it kind of sets itself apart.
Yeah, it's like its own action.
Yep.
St. Croix did a really good job with this line of rods with the handles, the comfort. I have multiple other Legend tournaments in my lineup along with my Shimano's and Daiwas and whatnot. But
#1 seller in the St. Croix Legend tournament.
one thing people will notice when they fish this is it is a little tip heavy, but it's not an aggressive amount of like, oh my god, this thing is put like I'm on the ground. It's still overall light enough to feel good, but there's a reason they made it tip heavy. Do you know what swing rate is?
No.
Okay, so I learned about this from actually Gary Dobbins was talking about it back when I was following Dobbins rods quite a bit. But it applies to all rod brands. Swing rate is what you get when you're penduluming a bait flipping. And when you have a heavier tip, you're allowing the rod to do more of the work as you pendulum. So if the rod has a little tip heaviness, it allows you to not have to work your wrist as hard, because when you drop the rod tip, the rod's momentum is creating the pendulum out there. So some of those, like, I'm not going to name specific rod lines, but some of those higher end rods that are super light for flipping, that balance, you talk about they balance perfect, they will wear you out more than this rod.
Yep.
Relatively. I mean, you're not going to be... This is still heavier than those rods, but, like, you're not using as much muscle to do the mechanics of the cast. So you're not going to be tired.
You're not going to be fatigued up in the rice.
So just a little tidbit for you guys over there. Like,
you're not going to get fatigued with your 7.6 heavy moderate St. Croix Legend tournament.
Even if you don't want a 7.6, this applies to 7.10s, 7.8s, 7.7s. If you're looking for something for flipping, you want something that's not too tip heavy, but just a little tip heavy so you can just work that little bit less effort into your day. Let's go back to some finesse stuff. Okay, you've been freaking out about this rod all week.
Everybody's been freaking out about that.
We had
there's been
employees.
fights.
We've had people.
There's been fights over this rod.
Yeah, people in our DMs. You need to chill out. I don't know how you guys got us in a three-way group on the DMs fighting over one of these left, but chill.
One left because they're that popular, and we just got them in a couple days ago. This is the 863S drop shot rod from the GLX line of G. Loomis. 7.2 medium heavy. I would say, even though it says it's a 3-power and it says it's a medium heavy, I would say it is actually a true medium. It's got more of a medium heavy backbone, but then you get to the tip, and that's where I would say it's more of a medium.
So
what makes this rod special?
Well, that, and what do you use it for?
So a typical like NRX Plus 822 drop shot rod or a GLX 822 drop shot rod.
Yep.
That's great for smallmouth drop shotting, and it's great for drop shotting out in the open. But when you're out on Lake Minnetonka or somewhere those grassy lakes we have around us, and you're drop shotting in the weeds, she likes to double over pretty good.
Yeah.
So drop shot in the weeds now is available with much efficiency because this is what they call a medium heavy series of drop shot rod.
But it's not quite a medium
Like
heavy
I said, no,
in
not
traditional terms.
Not a traditional medium heavy, but it's got much more backbone than your traditional 822 drop shot rod.
So it's a 7.2, so there's other things you could do with it, right?
There's no limit, I think, to what
Could you throw like a big Nico?
Big Nico, I think.
I'm looking at you, Kyle Grover.
I think
He knows if for some reason Kyle Grover's watching our podcast, he knows exactly what I just said.
I'm thinking maybe like a chain worm with a big heavy tungsten weight on the end of it.
Ooh, yeah, if you haven't checked those out, you need to go check out our Instagram and find the chain worm videos, because that's going to be a player on places like Tonka or any other grass lake.
I'm thinking, I think I could jig worm with this with ease.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, why didn't I think of that?
I think you could throw a little bit bigger of a swimmer on it as well.
What about a tube up north?
I think it'd be a good tube
I
cracking
think
rod.
you could crack it
Yep.
pretty good. It's still got enough backbone to do that?
Yep. This is not your traditional drop shot rod.
It's a little long maybe to skip docks with, but like you got some power there.
If you're somewhere where they're going to wrap around the dock posts.
Probably not. But if you're on a big flat throwing flukes or something for smallmouth.
Yeah,
like
or I could see if you want to do some Sakamata shad over the top of the weeds.
Oh,
I think this would be money for that.
I could see that, yeah. Like, oh man, you're gonna talk me into one of these. These are really hard to get too.
Hard to get, hard to find. Like people are fighting over them, but this is a really special rod. Like, you don't. Somebody makes a new rod in the lineup, and it's usually just. Oh, well, they made that in a previous model, so I know how that feels. But this is a rod that you got another one. You have to come in and feel how this thing bends, and you'll realize that this is a rod that you don't currently have in your lineup. It's not your typical 7.2 medium heavy spinning rod. Because there's like X-Bride makes a 7.2 medium heavy, but this is not that. Totally different rod. Cannot recommend it enough for if you're trying to do some drop shot in the weeds. You can feel every little piece of cabbage when your weight falls through that. I don't
know if Douglas was the one who pushed them to do this, because I know he had a hand in the GLX lineup. Yep. But if you did, Josh, push them to do this, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I can see, like, you know, that's the thing about the GLX and the NRX lineups is they always talk about, oh, it's a DSR, it's a, you know, BJR.
It's a Carolina rig rod.
Yeah, CRR. That CRR is a great football jig rod, and it also does other finesse jigs well, too. Yep. So, like, they're just suggestions.
Yep.
Or guidelines.
It's like when it says, if it said walleye on the blank. It doesn't have to be just for walleye.
I had to explain that to a guy the other day. He was looking at St. Croix Avids and the Victory, and I was like, dude, you can use the St. Croix Victory for walleye if you want. You can use the Avid for bass fishing. You can, so on and so forth. And, people get too hung up on what this says and not so much on what
it can do.
Does.
So come check out the 863S drop shot rod. This is airing tomorrow, so we'll probably have it in stock still, but if not, we'll get one on order for you.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll talk about these two.
I want to talk about my gravity bait rod first.
This one?
No, my gravity bait rod. That one. Yes, that one.
Oh, you don't want to talk about the level rods at the same time.
I want to talk about... This is...
What is it?
A new brand for us. This is Level Rods.
7.2 medium, heavy, moderate, fast. Oh, we're back to the moderate.
Yep.
Tell me more.
Gravity baits. So Level Rods is a new brand for us, but they're catching fire. Guys are actively coming in the shop and go, I heard you have those new Level NGX series rods because they're quite popular.
And they heard right because they're right here.
Lightweight, carbon fiber, really nice actions. They've got a ton of different models in this lineup. This isn't like they've got 4 casting rods and 3 spinning rods. They've got
it's a full line.
They've got all applications from a 6'10" medium light jerkbait rod all the way up to a 7'10" medium heavy swim bait rod. They've got it all. They've got scope and sticks. Much? For just $169.99 across the board. Every model in the NGX lineup is just $169.99.
No.
Really great price point, really low on weight, and it overperforms that $170 price point quite nicely.
Now, there's a lot of people this will fit. Not just this model, just these rods in general.
Yeah.
The guy who wants to have 15 tournament rods but can't afford $600 NRXs, yes. We get it, we understand. Here's something cool, but also something that's quality. It's well made. We've talked to the guys at Level quite a bit, and they're committed to testing their product and making sure it's of the quality it needs to be.
Customer service on their end.
It's fantastic,
phenomenal. It's hard. Sometimes you get into some brands where I had a problem with my rod. I had a problem with a break, and you can't get a hold of them, or they don't honor it. These guys are top notch.
Yeah, we had a very small snafu with our first order, and they fixed it within 3 days. We had the new rods 3 days later. So, and it wasn't something that would ever make us think negatively about the brand. So, on top of that, they just fixed it so quick.
Yeah.
Usually that's a 2-week process, even from our favorite brands. So
it's hard to get a really nice rod anymore in that $150, some $200. I think these rods could have a MSRP of $250.
Yeah, they're actually good actions. They have a good amount of sensitivity for the price point.
Yeah.
They do have some EVA foam, and I know that's probably something guys might be hesitant on because they're looking for cork.
You can still feel everything. You
can still feel everything, for one, and for two, keep an eye out because Level's going to bring new rods to the market.
And they are doing cork.
Yeah. So,
cork models.
If you don't like the foam, don't worry. We're going to bring in the cork models when they show up. So, I might as well go ahead and talk about the other one I have.
Well, I wanted to just touch on
talk about that model.
Why I brought in the 7.2 medium heavy moderate fast. That is because before we had Level rods in the store, we had to go ahead and give them a test because we don't bring anything that we don't truly believe in. That's not how we work. We're not just going to bring in something we've never used, something we've never seen without actually giving it a test. And if it passes our expectations, we bring it in. So guess what? I used this particular rod all last season, and I was throwing poop baits or gravity baits with it. 7.2 medium heavy moderate fast. I was out on Lake Minnetonka every single day this summer throwing the 3.5 inch depth cover scat on a 4/0 EWG ringed hook, throwing it under docks, skipping docks, getting wrapped around dock posts. I was throwing it in milfoil. I was throwing it in this gross, horrible junk weeds. There's one little bay that you just throw it in the nastiest stuff possible up in 2 feet of water, and those bass will take you and get you wrapped up and wrapped around. And I tried so hard to break this rod. I'm talking hook sets, getting wrapped around dock posts, throw these baits where they don't belong, and this rod absolutely held up like crazy. I've still got my poop tied on mine. I put it in the boat because I cannot recommend this rod enough. That's why I brought it in. But the other reason I liked it was because if I'm throwing a cover scat, I'm throwing it real far, and I'm just waiting for that little tiny little boop, that little tick you can feel when they pick it up, and I can feel that all the way up into my shoulder with this rod. That's how sensitive these are, even with that EVA foam, like we said. But you can just feel that teeny little tick when they pick it up. All you gotta do is set the hook. Put this thing absolutely through the ringer, and I got nothing but positive things to say about it. And the 7.2 medium heavy moderate, I found if you're trying to launch that cover scat or that heavy gravity bait, you get a much better cast with it, but also on the hook set, I don't have the problem of ripping it out of their mouth, and I don't have the problem of not having enough power. It's the perfect balance between you get a good cast and you get a phenomenal hook set. I don't lose fish. You saw how many bass I was boat flipping with this over the summer. I've got tons of videos I can share of it.
Bunch of it.
Boat flipped them like a dream. Can't recommend that one enough for heavy gravity baits. And I think you could do a lot more with it than that.
That rod was surprisingly versatile this year. Well, and I've got the 710 medium, heavy, moderate, fast. Crankbait rod to some. Swim bait rod to others.
Rated up to, I think that's a 3 ounce
rod, up
isn't
to
it?
3 ounces. So that was my thought was, well, look, I don't throw big crankbait, at least not big enough to warrant this rod for that. But I do throw big glide baits, or some people might consider them still small glide baits based on what I've seen these days. But but like a Metro, like a throwback Metro, the smaller version of their glide bait, I would do that. You could throw a mag draft on this, no problem. Got a longer handle section, so that makes tucking it under your, I'm not a lefty, but tucking it under my arm, having a good spot to do that's important to me.
I think the swim bait rods, that's a hard price point to hit. First of all, just at all.
Yeah.
Sub 200 for a 7, 10 to 8 foot swim bait rod, but it's also a hard price point to get anything that's even worth it.
And this is still 170. Like, this is the same price as those.
Yep.
So, and that was a big part of why I brought this on for this episode of this podcast, because I wanted to talk about a swim bait rod that's not going to break the bank, because everyone who throws swim baits already knows about the big brands. But if you're looking to break into the swim bait world, and you want something you can throw a lot of baits with under 3 ounces, this is going to be a workhorse. That's why I said like a mag draft style bait, harness swim bait, signal, devil swimmers, type of stuff like that. Garen Craft Joy Claw 128 to 178, I think you could handle.
Yes, 178 would be perfect for this rod.
Smaller depths, like the 170 size. You can throw a regular 150 or 200 size reel on this and do everything you need to. And then, I mean, to be honest with you, that's sensitive enough. If I really needed to, I could throw a big jig in heavy cover with it. It's a very versatile model right there. So, yeah.
I mean, you put a Corrado on there, and you're looking at sub $400 for the whole setup.
Easily.
Which is pretty hard to do.
Including line.
Which is pretty hard to do in a swim bait setup.
Yeah, I mean, Corrado. I mean, we talk about really budgeting.
SLX XT.
Yeah, I was gonna say the SLX XT is definitely gonna be a powerful enough reel to be a workhorse for that situation.
And then you're looking at
like
300,
like 325, somewhere in there after tax. So like, yeah, that's the deal. Can you call him back?
He was calling himself.
Oh, he's done that before. Let me double check and make sure we still got. Oh, we got time before the thing turns off on us by mistake, because it's done that to us and we had to reshoot stuff. So we have one rod left.
One little number from our good buddy Austin Felix. This was a series, and this particular model he really recommended to us, and we brought him in, and he went ahead and sold a heck of a bunch of these for us.
Yeah, the AIS Ultra.
Yep, that's I believe that is a 6 foot 8 inch light power.
It is fast action, light power, fast action. We'll definitely do B-roll of. We're gonna go back to the shop and shoot that B-roll because the light will be better. We can flex them on the floor.
It's not a true light. I would say it's more of a true kind of a medium light, pretty parabolic, but scope and stick. It is
This is a true scope and stick. It's not like the 841 where you could scope with it. This is what Austin does with it, right?
Said it's and he's kind of transitioned now to scoping with a bait caster a lot of the time, but he said if you're doing the spinning rod thing with the Sakamata shad, he said this is the scope and stick.
Yeah. one thing about those AIS rods is they'll say a light action. It'll
Yep.
be more like a medium light. So whatever it says on the blank, think like half to maybe even a full power more.
Yeah.
I would say this is like this is like light action plus.
Oh, I was rated up to a 1/4 ounce.
Yeah.
4 to 8 pound. I could do a lot of stuff with that.
Yeah, this Ross is over here frothing at the mouth for the ice to melt so he can go throw this thing.
They're lightweight. They got a real nice handle on them. Real comfy. This is another one. You got to come in the store and feel it.
Yeah.
God, they just feel really nice.
Little shorter, little smaller sticks, so like 3,000 size reel.
Yeah, and that would not fatigue you out there shaking a minnow.
No.
I've scoped with some rods, and I'm like, well, after 5 minutes of shaking a minnow, you get so much fatigue in your wrist, that one wouldn't do it.
Yeah, this has the right tip for it too. We'll do a little bit of some B-roll, but man, I gotta give it to the AIS guys. They for being a small unknown Italian company, they make some good product.
Yeah, and we've shipped AIS rods all over the country. They've done really well for us, and we've had a lot of positive feedback and a lot of repeat buyers of the AIS's.
Yeah.
If they're good enough for Austin Felix,
yeah, he was with them when he won that Elite series, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so, and if I'm mistaken, my bad. Either way, he's spoken very highly of them, and Austin does not just jump aboard every trend, craze, or brand that's willing to sign him or whatever. He will. He will stand by this product though 100% because he's using it and he's happy with it. And,
yeah. I'd put a Bamford 3000 on it with some Barravas, super trout advance, some super thin line, and
get to scoping.
Just go to town with that rod.
Yeah, that's money right there. Be iconic.
Be iconic.
Be iconic. Well, these are pretty darn iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, dang. We're spoiled here, is what I'm trying to say. Is we see this product every day. We get to touch it, get our hands on it, but sometimes I'm envious of our customers because they get to go and leave and not come back to the store for like a week or two.
Yep.
Some of them come back every day, which we're fine with. Shout out Dwayne. But when they come back, they get to see new cool crap.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep.
And it's not crap, it's good crap. So, like, you know what I'm saying? But, like, I get jealous because it's like, man, I wish I could just leave the store I work at and come back and see what's cool and new.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely cool and new.
Yeah. This, level rods, those GLXs, all new this year for 2025. Yeah. So, like...
I mean, everything else we highlighted has already become one of our top sellers or is about to be one of our top sellers. And then, yeah, new arrival of the AIS Scope and Stick. We have also the AIS Mercurial series in stock.
Those are sick.
They make a Scope and Stick. They make a great lineup of bait casters as well. Yeah, they've already done well for us, and they're going to continue to do so. So cool. A lot of these rods you cannot find anywhere else because they're out of stock or they're just simply nobody carries them. That's why we have them, is because they're sticks that we believe in and that we use. So
yeah, as you can see, I got two of them here that I still got reels on. So like, I'm using them. I love them. I'm catching fish on them. I cannot sing their praises highly enough. I know it seems like marketing jargon if it's just rods with tags on them, but like, I'm going to have a level rod in the boat.
Yes.
To give you guys the honest goodness truth. There will be video coming this year.
Yep.
Ross has an AIS light action 6.8. He's going to throw it.
Yes.
We have hair jig rods. There will be GLXs being added to my lineup as well.
Yep.
I'm going to go fish some tournaments this year with some friends, and I'm going to need some good stuff for that. So
all the good stuff.
Where does that leave us?
Well, we're waiting for Willie to come in. Willie works on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, so that means our next podcast is going to be, I believe, with Willie, and he's got some tricks up his sleeve for that one. I think we're calling that one Weird and Wacky.
Weird and Wacky Willie tricks?
We're going to highlight some absolutely, he called it off the wall stuff, crazy, wacky stuff that apparently is stuff that I've never seen before.
So what you're saying is we just get to sit and watch Willie do what Willie does?
Sit there and watch Willie do Willie things, which is good. He's a good guy for the wacky stuff.
Dude, he comes up with some stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did you think of that?
Yeah, I would definitely be on the lookout for that one, dropping in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And again, if there's something that you want us to highlight, send us a message or drop a comment, and we will do it 100%.
Yep. Things on the docket in the future, we'll definitely already be doing one about reels. We did one about rods. We'll talk about reels, maybe not the next episode, but in the next couple episodes. Keep it close.
Yep.
Maybe we can hound Willie about our favorite fishing lines.
Eventually, we'll have to do like a Bassmaster Classic podcast of maybe some bait predictions or something.
Bait predictions. That would be fun. That would be kind of like taking me back to the MLF days when I was talking about, I wonder what's going to win this tournament. And then you sit there and talk with Kyle and Jody about who knows what.
It's a good week to release a podcast because starting tomorrow and the next day we have a unbelievable amount of really cool stuff coming through the doors. Yeah. Check out our social media and get on our website and hit that new arrivals button because you never know what's going to come through that door.
And if you see something that is on our website already, it is out of stock, don't be afraid to hit the email notification about restock. We get this all the time. Guys text me and Ross and go, hey, can you let me know when this is back in stock? And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I know I've missed some of you. But if you go and sign up on the website to do the restock notification, we'll never miss you. You will get the notification.
Instant notification.
The second those go in our system, you will find out. And there have been guys who have been on the restock list for products that were out for 5 months.
Yep.
And then they're sold out in 30 seconds because those guys got the notification. And then I have guys texting me, asking me to save product, and it's gone already.
Yep.
So, not that we want people to miss out because we absolutely don't, but that's your best way to get what you're looking for. So just giving you guys the reminder and the heads up because I've been getting that text a lot this last 3 weeks. And thank you guys for wanting to buy the product with us and hoping for us to get it in. But there's like 50 of you in my DMs right now. And
we like the DMs. DMs are good.
DMs are great until, I forget who I was talking to last week, and they need Sakamadas. So, anyways.
Cool stuff coming. Cool podcast coming. I think until then, Skol.
Skol.
Skol to LA.
Skol to LA. Are you going?
That's my 7.6 heavy footing rod.
What? No? Okay, well then I'm taking this GLX and the hair rod.
You have to fight Willie over it.
Good luck with that.